permutation that if Italy win this and France get nothing from the match, so no bonus points, no try bonus, no losing bonus, that would mean that France are out of their own World Cup. It's unthinkable though, surely, Paul Grayson.
That's one hell of a party to spoil, isn't it, if you're in Italy's shoes. I can't see it myself, but after Italy's drubbing by New Zealand last week, they're hurting badly. You'd expect a big performance from them. It will not be a walkover.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more as the match goes on. This week there's even been a fire ceremony for Italy to get rid of those demons after they were absolutely stumped by New Zealand, 96 points to 17. But let's get this rugby match underway. The final match in Pool A. It's France who get us underway as Jalibert sends it into the sky in Lyon, and it's gathered by Italy inside of their 22s. The Italians wearing their white kit this evening with blue shorts, travelling from left to right on this pitch. They're about 10 metres inside of their 22 as we speak, as the ball goes back in the end to Capuozzo, who sends it down the field. On the right-hand side of the field, it's France wearing their navy blue shirts with white shorts and red socks, as we see an attack coming down the far side right wing by Ramos. Big thumping collision as he goes into contact out on that far side. You are listening to 5 Live Sport this evening. Every match of this World Cup, we are your home. As we close in now on those quarter-finals, as we see a little bit of footwork coming in by Louis Barry, only 20 years old and getting his opportunity. Already scored a couple of tries as well. Jalibert manages to push the ball out wide. Aldrit, the big thumping number 8, European Player of the Year, wearing his scrum cap, getting involved. France 0, Italy 0, a minute, and the ball has not stopped the whole time. France have worked through about 7 phases ever since they got the ball back. As we see a little bit of a breakthrough there on the floor from France, unable to capitalise on it, and in the end it's Flamand who takes it on. Now Luku, who of course, we're not talking about Dupont tonight, he's got his fractured cheekbone. He is here, he's watching on, expect cheers from the crowd each time he appears up on the big screen. Will he take part if France get through to that precious semi-final? We're still waiting to find out from the doctor as France finally break over the 22-metre line. Woki, breakaway down the side, surely a try for France! It's going to be over through Damien Penaud. He's already scored 4 tries in this World Cup, and that is try number 5, as he aims to become the first Frenchman to ever score 13 tries in a calendar year and surpass Philippe Saint-André's record of 12 back in 95. He is stepping up at this tournament.
Damien Penaud with the finish, but so much content from France in the opening exchanges. Must have been a dozen phases they went through. 2 big carries from Gregory Aldrit, the number 8. And ultimately, after a pick and go through the middle by Piotr Movaka, Cameron Woki had the offload, a second row, peeling round to the left-hand side of the field, straightened up, got his arms free. There was a flip pass away from Jalibert. Ramos straightened. Outside him was Penaud on the left wing, the right wing on the far side of the field. With Barry to spare, he dots down the perfect start for France.
Well, as we just wait for Thomas Ramos to add the extras, let's run you through that French lineup. 2 changes from the side that thumped Namibia 96-0. One of those changes you also already mentioned was Luku after that injury to Dupont. He's at 9. His halfback pairing is Jalibert. Ramos in at 15 with Penaud and Biel Barry on the other wing. Danty and Ficou make up the centre partnership. You've got Bai, Movaka and Antonio there in the front row with Woki and Flamand, and then the back row made up of Delange, Olivant and Aldrit. And with Dupont out injured as the regular captain, Olivant is captain as Ramos takes his run up. Little bit laboured over it, but that one is through. So it is now France 7, Italy 0. Only a few minutes played at this World Cup as we just run you through the Italian lineup. 5 changes to the side that were humbled by New Zealand. Fullback is Ange Capuozzo. That's a positional change for him. Pierre Bruno on one wing, on the other it's Monte Ioane. Into the centres, Juan Ignacio Brex and Paolo Garbisi. Half-back pairing, Tommaso Allen moves back into fly half after being 15 last week, and Stephen Varney at scrum half. In the forwards, a completely fresh front row, Simone Ferrari, Haim Fiver and Pietro Ceccarelli. As we just watched the ball come out of play on the near side for France from the restart. Nicole Cannone is alongside Federico Ruzza in the second row, and then in the back row, Negri, Lamero and Cannone. As I go through those changes, big changes there for Italy, Paul Grayson, and expected, surely.
Yeah, as much as they've... you can just chuck out the same 15 and say, right, do better than last week. Tactically, they need to do something, certainly with the midfield. They got Capuozzo playing on the wing. He's wasted out there, needs to be at fullback.
Well, Italy have just mapped up their line out. It's upon the halfway. France have the ball as they go once again inside of Italian territory. France 7, Italy 0. 4 minutes played here on 5 Live. France looking to top their pool at this World Cup. Will it be a favourable position though? Because who knows what's going to happen in Pool B, as whoever they will face in the last 8 if they get there. We'll go through those permutations a little bit later as the ball is hacked on by France. It's gathered by Capuozzo at fullback. He sends it high into the sky. It's gathered in the end by Gelange, who's hanging out on the right-hand wing. And then in the end we get to see Tommaso Allen running forward, now at Perpignan, formerly from Harlequins. And we're going to play a little bit of kick tennis here. And this is something that France are very happy to do, and Italy have to learn to be happy to do it as well.
They can't lose their patience. Everybody, all the forwards in the middle of the field. Poor kick from Italy.
Yeah, Ramos can smell an opportunity. He's gone for the 50-22, hasn't quite executed this very well. And they're going to come back because it's a penalty for France. I can only assume for Italy not being onside.
All the forwards in the middle of the kick tennis, hanging around the halfway line, trying to preserve their energy. They're not running backwards and forwards because they know what's coming.
We don't often see referees do that, do we?
Well, look, everybody was stood stock still, all of those players in the middle. As soon as the white shirt started to move forward, when Tommaso Allen belted it down the field, they're 30 yards offside. Carl Dixon picked him up on it. Shot at goal from the centre circle.
Yeah, right bang in the middle, this one for Thomas Ramos. One of the best kickers in the competition so far. He's now up to 16 from 19 attempts, pushing his numbers up close to 90% now. He's taken more than most in the competition due to the number of conversions.
I'll tell you what, I've just seen Carl Dixon, the referee, pick up Ramos's kicking tee and move it a yard forward. I don't think that's ever happened. That's Ramos's job.
Well, he's moved backwards a lot. Makes a little bit of a difference, that one. So Thomas Ramos then, the Toulouse fullback, who has excelled so far in this World Cup. He was on sparkling form in their opening win over New Zealand all that time back. Can you believe that? 8th of September this tournament started. Big boot comes in then by Ramos. He's not watching that. He knows that's going over. He had gas to spare as well, and that just further extends this French lead. Italy still are not at the party. It is France 10, Italy 0.
After Damien Penaud went over for the first score temporarily on the big screen, the cameras turned to Fabien Galtier, France's head coach, and you could see him breathe, take a deep breath, a cleansing breath, the exact start that he wanted. Obvious nerves in the French camp, but they've calmed themselves with a 10-point lead.
Well, from the restart, Italy have chased up their own kick as France gather that inside of their own 22, and the whole of this stadium is now bouncing. It's like watching a whole stadium of football ultras getting very excited here, and we are only 7 minutes into this fixture. Oh my goodness, there is going to be a big party in Lyon this evening as the ball is knocked on in the end by Italy, and we get to see our first scrum of the evening.
Yeah, nice box kick from Maxime Lucu. Getting very experienced, Lucu, obviously understudy to Antoine Dupont. Came on late in the victory over world champion South Africa at Marseille back in November 2022. Dupont got a red card that day. Lucu came on and played brilliantly to see France home in a close contest. So he's a man for the big occasions, weight of expectation on his shoulders, deputising for, let's face it, when there's rumours of a player being in the building, Elvis style, you know how big Antoine Dupont's presence is. Lucu started well in this game as he looks to establish himself as a viable option if Dupont doesn't make it back till later, maybe the semis.
Yeah, everyone waiting on the doctor's verdict of what's going to happen as France break away from the back of the scrum. We'll update in a moment all of the other events that are going on as we just watch this ball bobbling down into the Italian 22. Capuozzo 5 metres out now from the Italian line. Big pressure raining down, but France are offside. Right then, let's head into the championship, find out what's going on at St Andrews. Birmingham City against West Brom. Naz Premji.
Birmingham 0, West Brom 1. John Swift, edge of the area, off one post, then the other and in. They lead here. Birmingham 0, West Brom 1.
Thanks, Naz. There's also a match this evening going on in the WSL. Last time we heard that one, it was 1-1 between Man United and Arsenal. If you are looking for the Rugby League, if you want to switch codes, that's absolutely fine. We won't take it too personally. You just head over to Sports Extra. Catalan Dragons taking on St Helens. That one's still 0-0, also getting underway at 8 o'clock. But our focus here on 5 Live is all things Rugby World Cup, where it is France 10, Italy 0. The last match in Pool A, it's gone very well so far if you are a France fan. And they are looking to top this pool with a big victory over their Six Nations rivals, as the line-out doesn't quite function as perhaps the French would like. Doesn't matter too much, as they do come away with the ball in the end. They're playing penalty advantage as well to France, with Luku having the ball at the base of a ruck. He's just forming the caterpillar so he can safely get something away, as Le Marseillaise sings out around Lyon once again, and they're going to come back for the penalty.
Yeah, it was a steal at the front by France from an Italian line-out following a penalty for offside given by referee Carl Dixon, which is why it looked a little bit messy. They immediately got penalty advantage from the next breakdown, attempted a fancy little chip over the top, knowing that they would get the penalty if it didn't come off, which it didn't. So 30 yards from their own line, 20 yards in from the right-hand touchline. France in possession of the ball, and assuming they make touch, will be in control of territory too.
Well, France are going to thump this one down the right-hand side touch. Worth remembering that France have won the last 13 games against Italy. The last time the Italians had the better of them was back in 2014. And actually beating France in France, you have to go all the way back to March 1997. And there was some real fighting talk by the Italians in the build-up to this match. We talked in the build-up about the fire ceremony that was introduced by Kieran Crowley, their head coach, to try and get rid of any demons, but it's not working now because Penaud is on the run once again. A little hack through, not quite enough execution on that one as it goes out of play on this near side. He's given Italy a line out, but it's still 6 metres from their own line. France 10, Italy 0, and I can tell you now, I'm not quite sure the fire ceremony worked as Italy try and take the line out quickly, but they're going to come back.
Yeah, they're obviously trying to fill their emotional locker up with something. It wasn't defensive organisation off that line out, unfortunately, as anyone who's seen Damien Penaud play, drifting in off his right wing, ghosting across the field. Italy play out. Yeah,
short numbers from the line out as well, just 3 men in there. It's worked well for them. They've managed to give themselves about 10 metres to get away from their try line. Give the kickers just that little bit more space to try and exit this one. Varney then with the box kick. There was good pressure on him there by the French, so they've not made Hugh ground, but it does mean that France get the line out just outside of the 22. France 10, Italy 0. Did you ever have to do a fire ceremony or something like that when you were a player, Paul, to try and get over a loss?
Look, it's a symbolic gesture, isn't it? It's all part of...
Were you asked to do anything like write a letter to your younger self?
Yeah, team building and establishing culture. I've done all sorts of that sort of stuff. It works really well when you've got some awesome players in your team.
Right then. There are some awesome players right now in this French team who are powering away over them all down this left side. They're just tractoring forward. In the end, Luku's going to release the backs. Jalonge looks up, manages to find Ficou, the most experienced French player at this World Cup, playing in his third tournament. Jalonge thinks he can see a little bit of a break, but he's dragged down to the earth in the end by Garbisi. Garbisi was playing fly half last week, but back in his more traditional 12 that he plays for his club side, Montpellier. Big pump forward now by the French. You do just feel this is just a matter of time. The Italians not really having many answers at the moment. Miscommunication by the French. Not seen that very often, but it's created a bit of space on this near side for Biel Barry. He's got a one-on-one. He manages to absolutely outbox about 3 Italians. And the French go over their second try. Louis Biel Barry. He was on his own, bit of footwork. 3 Italians came in to stop and he said, nah, I'll just score it. 2 tries for France. They now lead 15 now.
France launched from the scrum, tried to twice get around the outside of Italy. 2 good tackles, Juan Ignacio Brex and then Paolo Garbisi, 2 low chop tackles. France then came back playing from right to left. A poor pass from Cameron Vokey. The ball popped out the back, landed in Damien Penaud's hands. A little flick, cross kick pass to his fellow wingman. Nice bounce for Pierre Barry, and then right foot, left foot inside. Half a tackle and a reach. Absolutely stunning finish.
Well, the Italian defence coach is Mario Scusen, who we're probably pulling his hair out right now. Only 13 minutes in. France have gone over the line twice. They've also managed to rack up a penalty along the way as well. A conversion to come here now from Ramos as well. This is not looking like a good Italian evening. Worth saying as well that this is likely to be the last game for the Italian head coach Kieran Crowley. His contract's not being renewed after this World Cup. He's only been in the hot seat for a couple of years now, and he has made changes to this Italian side, but as Ramos lines this up, and that one goes straight through the middle of the post. Brilliantly worked conversion there by Ramos. It does make you think that the Italians have got to think of something else, because the last couple of games this World Cup, it's not working.
No, and they've reliance on set piece in rugby, your ability to win the ball when it's yours to control. They missed that line out. They got a penalty, they kicked a touch, they lost the line out. It's been all France since then. They've not been able to get their hands back on the ball. They need to find a way of getting hold of it and keeping hold of it for a while.
Well, the La Rochelle monster that is Gregory Aldrich receives the restart then by the Italians just inside of the French 22. Works his way forward, and then Luku uses all of his time to get a box kick away.
I like that from Luku, mimicking Dupont, kicking that long off his left foot, naturally a right-footed kicker.
Yeah, you just saw him change his body position there right at the back to make sure that he had the slightly different option, keep the Italians guessing. France 17, Italy 0. 15 minutes on the clock, as finally we see an Italian attack. Haven't said that for a while, have we? Right then, Juan Ignacio breaks away down this near right wing. Nice little pop ball there by Fiver, pushed out wide by Montejuani. He's managed to find hanging out on that left wing is Bruno. He's still pushing forward over the halfway line, but the ball gets pumped back in the end. I'm assuming it's going to be for holding on the floor there by the Italians, and it's going to be an opportunity now for the French to clear.
Just nice play going both sides of the field there from Italy. Good shapes, taking the ball flat to the line. The interchanges between Tommaso Allen, Paolo Garbisi and Capuzzo drifting to the outside, the crowd booing. There's a leading forearm really from the Italian number 8, not with massive force, and it was the middle of his forearm as opposed to his elbow, which made contact.
Yeah, Lorenzo Cannone there. Probably just about the right decision there, that he got given a penalty and it wasn't anymore, but he's just got to be a little bit more careful in that situation. He's still a young man, 22 years old, a couple of tries in this World Cup, but no excuses, because that can really damage a player if you get that wrong. Right then, France 17, Italy 0. Ball comes in by the French, camped just outside of the Italian 22. Once again, Aldrich, he is racking up the metres already. I know that much, as the ball gets recycled. No real contest coming in by the Italians other than the tackles at the breakdown for the time being. They're not really contesting it at the moment. They're waiting until they've got the exact right opportunity, and they're happy to let France play for the time being. About 3 phases worked through then from that line out back towards the middle of the field. Danti, who of course missed the opening match of the World Cup after he'd picked up a little bit of an injury, now back to his powerful best. Ficou, he goes down to the floor. They're right in front of the post now, the French. Still about 15 metres left to travel as they work their way back along the 22-metre line. Penaud, who's out there on the right wing, is absolutely smashed backwards for his efforts, and they're back on that 22-metre line. This time Jalonge, the Toulouse flanker, probably very pleased he's actually at this World Cup after he suffered an ACL injury earlier this year. Only in February, and he's managed to work his way back from that one. 11 phases now for the French, who are being patient. Italy, the white wall is holding, but for how long? This time it comes back. Movaca manages to find Biel Barry, comes back inside, but it's going to be out of play on the near side. And we'll restart then with an Italian line out. Well held there by the French, but ultimately not executed well enough.
Every credit to the Italian defence there. That was a barrage of runners from France. Antonio, Aldrich, Antonio again, Movaca, Danti, power, size, direct confrontational style from France. Then they found a soft edge to the left-hand side. Good scramble defence from Italy. Ominous from France, though.
So we're now 7 metres out from the Italian try line as the Italians trail here by 17 points in Lyon on 5 Live. We are your home of the Rugby World Cup. The ball is down on the ground now. Our referee, Carl Dixon, has deemed that must have been a maul, and it's not coming out because it's collapsed, and he's given the ball to France. It's going to be a restart with their scrum. So there was a bit of an upset noise really that went up from the crowd, but I think they're quite happy in the end with the decision once they've realised what it is.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure it's a good decision. Less than a second after the ball was taken, there was a knee on the ground, looked like a tackle to me.
Right, while we wait for this scrum to form, let's head into the WSL. It's Manchester United against Arsenal. Sani Rodravagula.
And it's 1-1 at the break here. The opener from Stina Blackstenius, equalised by Leah Galton to leave it level at the break. Perfectly poised here at the Lee Sports Village. Manchester United 1, Arsenal 1.
Thanks ever so much, Sani. Right, we'll also keep you across that championship game. And don't forget, if you're looking for the Rugby League, do head over to Sports Extra. Catalan Dragons against St Helens. That one, of course, the semi-final in the Super League got underway also at 8 o'clock. Right then, here in Lyon, it's France 17, Italy 0. We're approaching the 20-minute mark as France are hunting down try number 3. They have got this at the moment at the back of the scrum. They managed to release Donty in the end. He pushes forward. Referee Carl Dixon says, no, that's a forward pass. They're going to come back. Oh, no, he said, we don't see this often, do we?
He said the ball didn't get into the tunnel. France struck for it. Looked like it came out, never fully established itself in the middle of the scrum. So he'll let France have another crack.
They're going to reset the scrum as the crowd just get involved with a little bit of activity.
You thought he was going to give knock straight, didn't you?
I did think he was going to give knock straight. I got really excited. Didn't happen. It never happens. They tried it a few years ago. No one was interested in the crooked feed in the end. Right then, so we restart. Another French scrum as Luku just goes and buzzes around at the back and waits for those front rows to pack down in front of him. Luka, of course, trying to take his opportunity here with Dupont injured. I don't think there's anyone out there that believes that he's got any chance of taking over him. I think they'd be quite happy for Dupont to play with any injury. The calibre of player that he is, many consider that he is the best in the world right now, as this is a real mess at the back of this scrum at the moment, as Luku does gather it in the end. Comes back this time, taken forward by Flamanant. Down on the floor, a little bit of a breakaway by Woki. 5 metres left for the French to travel to get try number 3. This time we see Olivant, captain this evening. Slow, patient stuff here by France. They're not getting too excited. This is so composed from them. They know they don't have to do anything silly, and they're not going to do it. They were just waiting almost for Italy to make mistakes. We can see an Italian player lying on the wrong side. He's desperately just trying to keep his head down so the referee almost doesn't notice him. This time it's Bai, who's back from a calf injury himself. 7 phases racked up as they just push it towards the far side. Jalon just trying to run around the Italians, back inside by Penno. That was a nice move, bit of a switch. Now they go round. Ramos in the corner for try number 3. Well finished up there by the French backs, set up by the forwards. And that's a convincing scoreline at France 22, Italy 0.
After the reset scrum, a few more of those pummeling carries close to the breakdown from France, and eventually I think it was Ramos was at first receiver, pulled the trigger, faked the crossfield kick, looked like it was well marked, gave the ball to Jalibert, a hitch kick and an outside break. One player offered himself underneath on the switch. He gave the dummy double pump to the outside, and he had the gas to get in. On the outside, little switch back inside, one more offload, slightly fortuitous bounce. Ramos picks up the pieces in good support.
Really nice stuff in the end by the French. A little bit of luck went their way as well, but Italy have just got to decide what they're playing for here this evening, because this match is pretty much gone for them already, and they're going to get 3rd place. That means they'll be going to the next World Cup and wait for I can say actually on the TV screens we can see that the man himself, Dupont, was there, but because they've got the shot lock going for the Ramos kick, the crowd won't actually get to see him just yet. But don't forget, there's a full weekend of Rugby World Cup action coming your way. On Saturday, it's Wales against Georgia. That's a 2 o'clock kickoff, that one in Nantes. You can listen to that one on Sports Extra, as Ramos, once again, is sliding these conversions in from the edges. He looks so calm, and he makes it look so easy, and it's just not.
Superb stuff from Ramos, genuinely world class in that department. Great ball player as well. He's established himself as a undroppable in this French team. What he adds to them in attack, absolutely solid under the high ball, but he accumulates points off the tee at a ferocious rate.
Well, Italy get us back underway here on 5 Live. You are listening to all the action from the Rugby World Cup. It's now France 24, Italy 0 as the ball comes out on this near side. And we just wait for the Italians to work their way down towards the halfway line, but they've been intercepted by France and they've just been stopped. So let's just take that opportunity to quickly head to the Championship. Birmingham City, West Brom, Naz Premji.
Birmingham level, Birmingham 1, West Brom 1. Mayoshi fouled by Kipre, and Bakuna made no mistake from the penalty spot into the bottom right corner. Birmingham 1, West Brom 1.
And we'll keep you across the match that's going on in the WSL this evening as well, between Man United and Arsenal. Last time we checked in, it was 1-1. That one, though, is just probably getting back underway now into the second half. Right, France with the penalty then. We just saw a shot on the big screen of the Italy head coach, Kieran Crowley, with his head in his hands. And maybe that's understandable, as France really take their time here about trying to clear this one away down this near side touch. Eventually they do. So I can tell you, don't forget that tomorrow in Pool D, it's England against Samoa at the Rugby World Cup. That one coming to you live from Lille on 5 Live. We'll have Chris Jones, Matt Dawson and Kat Merchant. And then arguably the big match of the weekend in Pool B, live in Paris, 8 o'clock kickoff, Ireland against Scotland. Andrew Cotter, Johnny Beattie and Tommy Bowe will all be in the hot seat. Who's going to come out of that one? Is Scotland going to ruin the Irish party? I can tell you, I've been in Paris a few times now, and when the Irish are there, boy, can you feel their presence. It'll be interesting to see when you've got the Scots and the Irish partying hard in the build-up to that one, as France come away with the ball here in Lyon. They're going through the middle of the park, nicely taken in the end by Luku, but he was really well tackled by the Italians in the end, and they win the penalty. That was great scramble defence there by the Italians in the end. France holding on the floor.
Yeah, Jalibert stepping off his right foot, dancing back to the inside, getting that offload to Maxime Luku. He was absolutely smashed by Canoni, I think it was, the Italian second row. Levelled him. They got in and over the ball to stop what was looking like another France score. It's funny watching Italy, watching Kieran Crowley's response to conceding a penalty. Head dropped towards his desk, and you just wonder whether after the last result and this result they're a team who know their guys on the way out and perhaps stop listening to the messages.
Right then, ball come away from Italy. That was a nice move through the middle, really nice. Here comes Capowazzo, the X-Factor player. He manages to give it to Allen, who's working off his shoulder. Oh, he can't get the last pass away. Tackled in the end by Biel Barry, who did so well to work off his wing, and the ball goes out wide. It's France now inside of their 22 who get it back. Frustration once again for Italy, as it's a loose ball now on the floor. They will come back. It was knocked on originally by Italy, but finally a bit of spark and a bit of fight that came through Allen and Capowazzo.
Yeah, it's a really well run back smooth flat to the line, good angles, not running straight but almost running back against the grain. Tommaso Allen got the return ball, showed good speed to get away, and then just at the point where he was trying to release the pass over the top to a supporting winger, Ioane, French arm, managed just to get hold of him. Biel Barry just got his arm in and forced the knock on, but much better play at the line by Italy.
Well, the DJ is just getting things going, as there's a little bit of treatment going on to one of the Italian props out there at the moment. I mentioned that big match coming up in Pool B tomorrow between Ireland and Scotland. Just a reminder, do go and download the latest Rugby Union Daily on BBC Sounds, because our correspondent Chris Jones got to sit down with the Scotland head coach Gregor Townsend. Absolutely fascinating listen about how Scotland really want that victory, that everything has gone against them in the build-up to that fixture. They're aiming to end, of course, Ireland's 16-match winning run. Can they finally get the better of them tomorrow in Paris? What do you think, Grayson?
It's a tough ask, but Scotland, over the last 18 months, have stepped up to a level of performance which has meant they've had some notable results, worked themselves to number 5 in the world. It'll take everything they've got, but it should be a cracker.
Really should be. Right then, you're following all things in Lyon this evening on 5 Live Sport. It's France 24, Italy 0. 27 minutes played now of this first half. Our referee Carl Dixon, he's chatting away to the both front rows. I don't think we need to hear too much about it, because he's basically saying to both of them, can you both please engage correctly, and can you stay on your feet? That's what they say in front rows, isn't it?
Pretty much every time.
Anything else that they could add to that?
Well, eventually the referee will say,
go straight.
I'm gonna, yeah. We saw it last night, didn't we, with Wayne Barnes talking to Uruguay, asking them, saying there's nothing wrong with getting pushed backwards, that is not a penalty. It's when you either go up or down to stop that happening that there's a problem.
Well, at the moment in the Super League, as they just reset this scrum here, it's still 0-0 at the moment after 25 minutes between Catalan Dragons and St Helens, as eventually France do get the ball out of the scrum. It goes down the field and gathered by Capuozzo inside of the Italian half. He runs it back over the halfway line. He's tackled eventually about 10 metres out. He almost dives his way forward to get an extra couple of metres as Varney of Gloucester manages to send the ball down the line. Varney himself, who's actually born and brought up in Carmarthen in Wales, but has chosen to represent Italy as the ball comes away once again. We get to see Haim Fiver working forward the hooker. Just signed a contract this week with Bath after previously being a little bit homeless. He was previously with Benetton and Worcester, and is now finding another home for himself. Down on the ground, there's a real contest going for the ball. Italy eventually managed to dig it out 10 metres out, and there'll be a little bit of concern because I think it's Capuozzo who's picked up a little bit of an injury for the Italians after that last contact, and the ball's just getting a little bit too close to him, so the referee's going to stop play whilst Capuozzo does receive treatment. He's sort of rubbing his eyes and also shaking his jaw out, so I don't know if he's just taken a big hit, and you never know sometimes if it's a contact lens also that's gone in the wrong direction as well, but he took a big thumping contact.
Yeah, it was a committed carry from the fullback. Jagged step off his right foot and acceleration in between two players as he got caught on the floor. 4 or 5 players went over him to clean the ruck. He might have caught a stray boot which can kind of graze across your skin. On his forehead it's sore, but it's nothing that'll require an HIA. It wasn't a bang, it was just a foot that got dragged across his face. Yeah,
and he's got a bit of a red eye from having so much water just squirted into it, so he's going to be okay to continue. Capuozzo himself, he was actually born in France. He could have chosen to stick in France and try and represent them, but he said he actually always wanted to get back to Italy. He plays his rugby in Toulouse, and he's made a name for himself by being an Italian player, that's for sure. He was told in France he was too small, he wasn't going to make it. But we've seen with a number of players now in rugby union, it really doesn't matter what size you are. Yeah, there's always the big men, but there's space for a littler guy as well. As Italy absolutely mess up a free kick opportunity. Moments like that in games, in World Cups, are so important. Total miscommunication from them, and they've managed to lose about 6 metres in the process, and they're now going horizontally across the pitch to Monte Ioane. He manages to make a good few metres and tries to put them back over the gain line. Tommy Allen now goes forward, finds Canone. There's 2 Canone brothers on the pitch tonight, one in the second row, one in the back row. This time into the middle we get to see Juan Ignacio Brex powering on. Canone again, his white headband wrapped around his head as he sort of rolls over, as Italy are attacking now in the French end between the 10 and the 22. They haven't really had a proper attack though inside of the French 22, apart from that one little burst from Allen and Capuozzo that eventually came to a knock-on. So any kind of constructed rugby that hasn't come from a counter is still yet to be seen. Monte Ioane can't control the ball and they end up back over the line. Pierre Bruno, well, he's done well there in a really tricky circumstance, but it's done nothing for this Italian attack. It is all backwards once again. France 24, Italy 0. 30 minutes played as the captain Michele Lamara just tries to inspire something from his team. The Benetton man looking around, just trying to say, come on, come with me, let's do something here. Nil on the board is not acceptable. They did get a few points against the New Zealanders, but the game had well gone by them. Had a little bit of a bright spell in the second half, but still coming out the wrong side of that 96-17. A hugely sobering experience for Italian rugby fans, and of course ignited all the conversations once again about whether they should be in the Six Nations, should there be promotion and relegation. And in the end, Italy do get a penalty here. It's on the halfway, and a big moment for them to actually produce something constructed. And I think they're also going to have to make a change as well. We can see warming up at the moment is Lorenzo Pani. Capuozzo's going to have to come off.
Yeah, Capuozzo's not happy about that. He's pointing in his eye saying it's just a graze, but safety first. Pani comes on at fullback, and Capuozzo will have an HIA, I presume. Good play from Italy. Yes, they didn't make many yards, but they tested the French defence. They were a couple of passes away from going through the space that they'd created.
Okay, let's just listen into the referee a second. Well, as soon as saying that, he stops talking to the French players, but there was the warning against the French players actually to be a little bit careful there at the breakdown. So it is still an Italian penalty. So just to confirm, Capuozzo has not been subbed off. He's gone down the tunnel for an HIA. If you're wondering why that's taken a little bit of time after the actual contact he had, that's because there was an independent doctor that will have assessed that contact he had and said, no, you've got to come off, you've got to be checked. So that's what's happened to him. And in the meantime, his team now have their first attacking platform inside of the French 22. It's about 10 metres out from the French line. They trail by 24 points here, the Italians, as the ball comes in. It's Canone who goes up to take it as they try and maul this one away. They have scored tries in this World Cup, Italy, as they try and break away. But at that time, Fiver just got caught there. It was really well read there by those French defenders. They go forward once again, this time Ferrari, he pushes forwards. They're about 7 or 8 metres still out. Ferrari goes once again, normally a tight head, but he's operating as a loose head prop this evening in Lyon. Slightly lateral here by the Italians, but they're going to have to be a little bit careful, a little bit patient about what they can do. They went forward there through Varney, really nice move there, over the top then by Bruno. 1 metre left for the Italians to go to get their opening try of this Pool A match. They're appealing for it. It's slow ball here. The French don't like it because it's taking so long. Eventually it does come out. Italy working closer, still a metre to go. Aldrit gets his big body over the top. Italy gather they're just trying to almost be lazy about how they work this as they push towards the far side. This time it's Ioane. He goes forward. 9 phases by the Italians. And still blue shirts come out over the top. That was really good work there by Donti, who tried to gather that ball. He was quick to release. He was jackling over the top, not to be. 12 phases now for Italy. Will they release the backs? They decide to go through the middle. Brex is well read and Fiku tries to hold him up. And Brex is pumping his legs towards that line. Warnings going out and round by our referee Carl Dixon for France to get back on side. Here comes Canone. He's so close. 30 centimetres left for him to travel. Italy must be absolutely exhausted. Is that over then by the Italians? They think they're close. They're down on the line. Was that push forward? Was it momentum? They're saying play again. It's not there yet. This time they go over. That is the try. Finally, after 17 phases, Italy get over the line. Simone Ferrari, they're on the scoreboard. It's France 24, Italy 5.
Chase Ferrari worked hard in that passage of play. Must have carried the ball 4 or 5 times. The Italian loose head prop. There was a couple of opportunities there for Italy to score earlier in the piece. The ball slowed down. Juan Ignacio Brex, the outside centre, hurling himself at the French defence a couple of times. They held onto the ball brilliantly well, and then the pick and go. The price of getting the ball over the line but not down is a goal line dropout. They didn't do that. They were just held up 30 centimetres short, precisely. And then one quick pick and a dab down. It's almost undefendable once you get that ball that close to the line. French crowd don't like it. No review at this point, but there is now.
There we go. Let's listen into our referee Carl Dixon. Well, hopefully you can hear a little bit of that. We'll keep trying to see if we can turn that up a little bit for you so you can hear the conversation that's going on between Carl Dixon and what is now, of course, called the television match official. And it's Marius Jonker of South Africa that he's talking to at the moment as they just decide if this is or is not going to be a try. I'm not sure that's quite the right angle for them to see it. Talk us through it, Paul Grayson.
There's a clear out. A carry from Negri, I think, and then a clear out from our man Ferrari. And it looks as if, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with the height of the contact. As Luku leans in, chest to me on the clear out, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you can hear all the boos that are going around the stadium at the moment. That's because you've got a capacity of 58,880. I think 58,000 of them are all French. Yeah,
Ferrari's bent in for the clear out. Yes, he's a tiny bit high if you're being technical, you're doing a clean-out drill, you might have a word with him, but Luku leans forward into the ruck, so drops his height as he almost trips into it. I still think the contact point is below the head and neck. It's just the fact that a big man's hit a small man and there's a little bit of recoil from Luku. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that for me, and that's the 5th time we've seen it.
Well, the referee, Carl Dixon, is still talking away to his officials there as they work through where the initial contact actually was. And they've actually changed where the television match officials are for this World Cup. Normally they'd be out in the car park, but now they're at Roland Garros.
If you've got to have this many looks, surely, benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, well, they're still looking, and the whole idea of television match officials is that it doesn't take this long, so it's going to be no try for the Italians, and it's going to be a penalty for France. But I think they're saying the head contact, the contact went up.
It was in his chest and went to the head. I'm not entirely sure it even hit him on the head. Slightly. Yes, we want to get the right result. It takes that many goes to get it. There must be some element of doubt. It's unfortunate for Italy having scored the try.
Well, not to be on that occasion. It's France 24, Italy 0. France will clear their lines down this near side and will restart then with a French line out, and there's still 6 minutes to go until half-time. Right, then, well, just a reminder, this is the biggest ever weekend for the number of commentaries across 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds and on the BBC Sport website. We are the place to be. It's going to be Arsenal against Man City. That's your 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. That's just one of 6 Premier League commentaries. Of course, we've also got the Cricket World Cup going on as well. We're also focusing on everything Rugby World Cup, but also, let's not forget the Championship. Not a commentary, but we've got a goal, haven't we, at Birmingham against West Brom. Naz Premji.
Birmingham have turned it around. Birmingham 2, West Brom 1. Cody Drammer with a cross. Captain Dion Sanderson with a looping header past Alex Palmer. Birmingham 2, West Brom 1.
Well, it's going a little bit better there than it is here for Italy, because, oh my goodness, Paolo Garbisi has just absolutely mucked up one of the most simple line-out opportunities ever. He's kicked long, and it means it's going to have to come all the way back now, and it's going to be a French scrum. Nothing is going their way.
35 metres out from the French line, 8 metres in from the right-hand touchline. The left-footed kicker just looked to push it into the corner to hopefully give his forwards a 5-metre line-out. Sliced it to Blue Blazers, kicked it straight off the end of the field. That takes the air out of your forwards balloon.
Right then, scrum then to the French, who are enjoying their evening in Lyon, and so they should as well. They're 1 try away from getting a bonus point. If you want to hear the wrap-up of all of this match, myself and Paul Grayson will be hanging on after this commentary is over. We'll be getting the latest Rugby Union Daily out. There's going to be a little bit of Kyle Sinclair in that as well. The England prop. We were speaking to Chris Jones just in the last few days as they build into that match, and penalty has gone the way of France, and there's a little bit of afters going on between the two sides as well. Carl Dixon needs to separate the two sides, because Italy are a team that are hurting, and they are hurting a lot.
And that's the trouble. Skill error from Garbisi. He's a quality player. Does have a tendency to sometimes hit that slice off his left peg, but what it results in is a scrum. France in control of the ball, which means they can get to grips with a tiring Italian front row, drive them backwards a yard, win the penalty, which moves them 60 yards upfield from where initially Garbisi tried to kick the ball into touch. Is a heavy price to pay for one man's error.
Well, as we just wait for France to get this line out in, don't forget over on Sports Section you can follow that Super League semi-final. At the moment it's Catalan Dragons 2, St Helens 0. That one now entering to the 37th minute. We're on 36 minutes here in Lyon. France 24, Italy 0 on 5 Live. As France try and work their way down this hard left wing, managed to push the ball back inside of the middle. Jalonge being tackled, gets the ball away. That'll be glorious. Peno Gavin goes over for a second. That was an absolute peach of a try. It's a bonus point try, and surely the moment we can say France are going to top this pool. They're going to be in the quarterfinals of their own World Cup.
Without question, they'll top the pool. Again, from one mistake, the cascade of events that leads to an attacking scrum for the French team. They play away from it, a little out the back pass from Fiku. An unbelievable skill from Ramos, I think it was. As he's getting tackled, manages to get the ball. Beg your pardon, Jalibert manages to catch the ball and kick it in one. Lands it on a sixpence for Penaud in acres of space. He knew before he'd even caught the ball what he was going to do, Jalibert. Brilliant skill, try number 4.
Well, Ramos is just lining this one up. Now, that for Penaud was his 35th try in a French shirt. And he's closing on a bit of a record there. So he's third on the all-time try-scoring list for France. The only man ahead of him now is Serge Blanco on 38. I mean, he's actually sat a few doors down from us. That would be quite a record to hold in very good company.
Rugby royalty in France and around the world. Blanco's credit, all of it from fullback. You give half your tries away as a fullback, passing them to the wingers. Damien Penaud, though, he is a box of tricks, scores individual tries, finishes superbly when given the space to do so. He is box office. Pretty straightforward for him, that one.
Yeah, certainly, and they get the conversion as well through Ramos. And they've just put up on the big screen Serge Blanco, so I think everyone is talking about exactly the same thing, about the record that is currently being closed in on there by Penaud. Could it happen at this World Cup? Well, could it happen in this match? I mean, he's on 35. He'd have to get 3 more. It's a bit of an ask, but you never know.
Well, listen,
Henry Arundel got 5.
He did. But actually, we saw some sparks there of some Italian resistance. They got themselves over the French try line, scored a legit try for my money. Referee gave the penalty away. Garbisi then made that mistake, and that's cost them another try. They were just starting to physically, literally fight their way back into the contest, not on the scoreboard necessarily, but certainly in terms of a bit of field position and a bit more physical output from them as a team. So disappointing to end up conceding again right before half time.
Right, Italian line out just inside of their own half. Michele Lemera just gets a pass away before he gets absolutely hammered down to the ground, and in the end, not to be, holding on the floor by the Italians. France get the ball back. I mean, some of this discipline by Italy is so disappointing. I mean, it's wonderful by the French, don't get me wrong, but it is also frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the first phase play as France turn the screw by lining up to kick a goal from the halfway line again. It was a decent carry, a good hit from Gregory Aldrit, working off the back of the line out to the inside, and then Jonathan Danty is just granite over the ball. Great hit from Aldrit, knocked the Italian player off his feet, which buys you valuable tenths of a second as the jackler to get in. There's not many better in the world than Jonathan Danty in that role. As soon as he got his mitts on it, always going to end up in a penalty. But you're right, frustrating for Italy that, yes, there's plenty of effort there, no clearer on the outside, albeit it would have been hard to move the number 12.
Here comes Ramos then, penalty from the halfway line. He's already got one this evening. The news is in, he's a human being. He's actually missed that one. So that is the half-time score here in Lyon as Ramos misses his first of the evening. It is France 31, Italy 0. Italy have just not turned up at all. They appear to have switched off after they had that huge result that went the wrong way against New Zealand. 4 tries for the French means they've already got that all-important bonus point. 2 for Penaud, 1 for Biel Barry and 1 for Ramos as Penaud closes in on a very big try-scoring record to be the top scorer for France and taking over Blanco. He's still got 3 more to go to do that. When it comes to this squad, we talked about Italy not being very good this evening. You have to say France have had a little bit of a rub of the green, Paul Grayson, but they've also been on point.
Straight out of the blocks, France were note perfect, weren't they? Italy's original clearing kick, France then threw a line out and kept the ball for 2.5 minutes and scored untouched, and that set the tone for the half. Italy nowhere for the opening quarter. I think France 24 points up in 23 minutes. We were expecting that from Namibia, I beg your pardon, from Uruguay against the All Blacks last night. They managed to keep it 0-0 for 20 minutes. It settled the crowd, it settled the French team. Late in the half, Italy found their feet and threw a few reasonable charges towards the French line, but France absolutely in control and know where they're headed.
Right then, France looking very comfortable then here in Lyon, leading by 31 points. Right then, let's just check in on a few other things that are going on this evening. First of all, the Women's Super League, watching this evening for us, Manchester United against Arsenal. It's Sani Radravajula.
Well, it's 1-1 here, 59 minutes on the clock. Jonas Eidevall, the Arsenal manager, just rung the changes. Manchester United been the brighter side. Have had a big chance through Jessie, the new Brazilian striker, but with just over 30 minutes to play, it's 1 apiece. Manchester United 1, Arsenal 1.
Thanks, Sani. Let's head into the Championship. Birmingham City against West Brom. Naz Premji.
First half stoppage time, Birmingham 2, West Brom 1. Cracking West Midlands derby. The Spaggies took the lead through John Swift. Birmingham responded from the spot through Juninho Bacuna, and then a lovely header from Dion Sanderson gives them the lead. We're just into the last minute of added on time. Birmingham 2, West Brom 1 at the end of the first half.
And just a reminder that over on Sports Extra you can follow that Super League semi-final, and at the moment it's still so tight. Catalan Dragons 2, St Helens 0, not quite half-time just yet. Right then, we are focusing on all things Rugby World Cup this evening. Half-time here in Lyon. It's France 31, it's Italy 0, and don't forget tomorrow night at 8 o'clock we'll be following all things Ireland against Scotland. But as we remain here in Lyon, let's get you more of this, but on the other side of the news on 5 Live with Fraser Dainton.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Good evening. A 36-year-old security guard has been remanded in custody over an alleged plot to kidnap and murder TV presenter Holly Willoughby. Appearing before magistrates in Chelmsford in Essex, Gavin Plum spoke only to confirm his name, date of birth, address and place of work. He's due in court again next month. The green energy businessman Dale Vince has announced that he will stop funding the activist group Just Stop Oil. Vince, who is also a major donor to the Labour Party, said he would instead focus on an anti-conservative campaign to get the vote out among the younger generation. Just Stop Oil has indicated it would continue what it described as a campaign of civil resistance to continue making its point. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer says his party's win in Rutherglen and Hamilton West in the by-election is a big step in the right direction towards becoming the next government. Labour secured a higher than expected swing from the SNP of more than 20%. The former Children's Commissioner for England, Anne Longfield, has described some of the government's decision-making during the pandemic as incoherent. Giving evidence to the COVID-19 inquiry, Miss Longfield said prioritising the reopening of theme parks and pubs over schools was a terrible mistake. And the Norwegian Nobel Committee has called for the release of the Iranian activist Narges Mohammadi after awarding her its Peace Prize for 2023. She spent much of the past decade in and out of prison for her campaign against the mandatory hijab and the death penalty.
Service!
On BBC iPlayer.
Have you seen my sugar?
Yeah, it's over here, girl.
Oh, you're definitely not sweet enough. No chance.
A brand new drama starring Vanette Robinson and Stephen Graham.
This is impossible. I need help, please.
Don't worry, I've got it.
No.
It's like working with a bunch of school kids.
No,
I'm not going to calm down. I've had enough.
What happened last time you lost your temper in the kitchen?
He's all used to work for me. If it wasn't for here, I'd still have my own restaurant.
Boiling Point. Watch on BBC iPlayer.
Good evening, welcome to France, and our focus for 5 Live Sport this evening has been the final round of the Rugby World Cup pool stage. It's the last match in Pool A, where we have watched France come out in the first half and absolutely steal the show against Italy. The half-time score here is France 31, Italy 0. The bonus point try already wrapped up. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Ireland against Scotland. Another huge match in the World Cup will be in Paris. That, of course, to decide the quarter-final places. Andrew Cotter, Johnny Beattie and Tommy Bowe will bring you that one. But before that, of course, in Lille, it's going to be England taking on Samoa. And to hear more about that, let's head over to our correspondent, Chris Jones.
Thank you, Sarah. Welcome to Lille. I'm currently sitting in the stadium where tomorrow England will face Samoa in their final pool match. Kick-off 4:45. Commentaries on 5 Live after the 3 o'clock football. England have already qualified, but what an opportunity this is to build cohesion and confidence ahead of a quarter-final in Marseille next weekend, which is likely but not definitely to be against Fiji. The big area of focus will be on the midfield, as always, with George Ford and Owen Farrell again teaming up at 10 and 12. But Farrell coming in is the only personnel change from the side that impressively beat Argentina on the opening weekend. Now, it was interesting, wasn't it, to hear Johnny May talk this week about this being his international swan song, and that's true of a lot of these experienced England players, while a swathe are also leaving to play in France after the tournament. And prop Kyle Sinclair says the squad is very aware that this World Cup is the last time a lot of these players will play together.
I think it's been mentioned, the last dance. I think as a squad, it just makes everyone aware of how special this is. Like, this will never happen again. I remember the experience from 2019, and to be honest, the moment where I was really, really sad for me was when we arrived back at, I can't remember if it was Gatwick or Heathrow. I was still nursing a pretty big concussion at the time, but we were saying our goodbyes to each other at the airport, and it was like, we all knew deep down, like, this squad will never be the same again. Coaches move on, players move on, the team changes, and like kind of saying those final goodbyes after coming so close was quite heartbreaking, to be honest. So hopefully this time around, those goodbyes will be goodbyes of joys, not regret.
Because not always you get a second chance in sport, is it?
Yeah, and I think, look, the reality is, look, it's sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But if you know within yourself, like, you've given everything in this experience leading up to the World Cup as well, in the pre-season, you haven't cut any corners, and you've done everything you can, and you just weren't good enough. Sometimes that's just the way it is, Chris. But I think knowing us as a squad, I think we're just trying to really just appreciate every moment. Like you said, there's a core group of guys who've been here for quite a while, so we've been around the block, and it's quite a cool environment to be in, because you've got some really, really experienced guys, and then you've kind of got some younger guys who this is their first experience and they're still quite fresh.
And do you see a bit of your old self in them?
Kind of, but like, kind of yes and no. There's not too many angry guys there, to be honest, so they're all pretty like green behind the ears and like, oh my god, this is so cool. Whereas when I was a bit younger, I was like, when am I going to train? Like, I want to absolutely destroy someone,
Sure.
Like, it's a bit different. But no, it's a good blend. It's a good blend.
And for you personally, are there many thoughts about your long-term future? You're Bristol for another season?
End of the season.
Yeah.
I've got the right people in place to handle that sort of stuff, but for me, I'm just focused to this moment.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's it. I focus on this moment, this experience, and kind of all of that stuff. In my experience with my career so far, if you keep the main thing, and you do your business on the field, everything else kind of takes care of itself.
So the main thing's the main thing against Samoa on Saturday.
Exactly.
And a lot of boys you know well. Chris Vui, Stephen Latour, what a great player.
Yeah.
Plenty of guys you know well in that group.
Those guys, obviously Stevie and Chrissy, I've known for 4 years now. And yeah, like, honestly, they couldn't be any more different on the field than off the field. On the field, two very abrasive, physical, I would say expressive, with the way they play, like some of the offloads when you're playing with them, you're like, how did you just do that? Like, is that even possible? But kind of off the field, they're the most chilled out guys you'll ever meet, like, literally. But two players that I have massive respect for. When I first joined Bristol, those guys made me feel welcome, showed me the ropes, and to be honest, made me understand how special it was to play for Bristol, because it is such a community feel with the club. You have your Bristol City fans and your Bristol Rover fans, but they all support Bristol Rugby. Like, the whole town gets behind the rugby, and they obviously showed me how important it is to beat Bath. If we beat Bath, then that's kind of all they really care about. Everyone's like really happy about that. But no, those guys are really, really good men, and I've got a lot of respect for them, and hopefully I've got a chance to go out there and do battle against those two, which will be fun.
And the way they play, no quarter Arsenal given on the pitch, then off it you'll have a catch up, and
of course,
you'll be mates. That's how it works, isn't it?
That's the beauty of the game. That's the beauty of rugby. There's no hard feelings. In that 80 minutes, you give your all. Like, you literally give your heart, your body, your mind, everything you have in that moment. And then once that's done, and then it's kind of like back to just being mates, which is so hard to comprehend if you don't know rugby, you know. But that's, I guess, one of the best values for me is in the sport is how you can kind of have that balance. But no, definitely, yeah. Afterwards, we'll be having a good catch up.
Right, always good to hear from Kyle Sinclair. England against Samoa, part of that huge day of rugby, that huge day of sport on 5 Live Sport tomorrow. And from the Rugby World Cup, it culminates in that firecracker in Paris with Ireland against Scotland. Right, back to you in Lyon for the second half, Sarah.
Thanks ever so much, Chris. Right then, oh my goodness, what a weekend we have coming for you then on 5 Live. Just a reminder that we have got 22 commentaries across 5 Live, Sports Extra, BBC Sounds, also the Sport website. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Arsenal, Man City, that's our 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. That's just one of 6 Premier League commentaries that we're going to have coming your way. We've also got the Cricket World Cup commentaries alongside the Rugby World Cup, so pick your World Cup, whichever one's your favourite. We won't take offence because we've got so many of them. It includes the big one, of course, at the Cricket World Cup that we've already had coming, and then Rugby, Ireland, Scotland tomorrow at 8 o'clock. The Formula One Drivers' Championship, that could be won by Max Verstappen at the Qatar Grand Prix. Of course, that one on Sunday. It's also the semi-finals of the Rugby League Super League playoffs. Of course, if you want commentary of that one this evening, do head over to Sports Extra. We've also got the WA World Featherweight title between Lee Wood and Josh Warrington. What are you going to go for, Paul Grayson? You're happy with your rugby union, but there's a bit of a huge selection there, a buffet of sport to work through.
Smorgasbord, yeah, indeed. Rugby all the way for me. When we eventually get home, see if I've got the lads around, get them in front of the telly and watch it together.
Now, we're watching this match. We're waiting for the teams to come back out. Half-time, France 31, Italy 0. The big discussion that always comes up when Italy have a few hammerings is whether they should still be in the Six Nations, whether there should be promotion and relegation. How much are we reading into what we're expecting this to be another big result, a beating for them this evening after the back of what happened in New Zealand? Where do you buy Italy's place on the world stage?
Yeah, clearly last week was disappointing and they backed it up with a poor opening half an hour. This week, it wasn't so long ago that they were beating Australia for the first time. We were saying, look at Italy, they've probably got a crop of young players who are playing in Italy and in France, and they're starting to make some strides for their continued involvement. You look at their back line with Garbisi and Capozzo. Their forward pack is, Negri and Lamaro and Canone. They're young, they're fit, they're growing. So, listen, I'm not advocating for Italy to get moved on anytime soon. Yes, it's been disappointing that it's taken a while, but they are better than they've shown in the last 2 weeks.
Well, Italy have come out onto the field. They're going to be kicking us off. They're on the right-hand side. France are just making their way out. And all I can say is in this second half, we are expecting some different gravy from the French. We're not talking about, when you go, yeah, that's a nice gravy. We're talking about the kind of gravy that you get once a year at Christmas when someone can really be bothered to put some effort into it.
Different gravy. Is that a jus? Or a roux? Yeah, whatever.
Jus or a roux? Let's not go down the culinary route, hey. Let's stop right there. Okay, right then. It will be Thomas Sowalen who gets us back going. Worth saying, he hasn't had any kicks at goal this evening, but he's 100% with the boots, so I don't know if I'm going to get to use that statistic the way that Italy are going, so I thought I'd just throw it in there just in case, because to go through a World Cup when you've had 15 out of 15 kicks, that's none too shabby.
That's good going. You've done your bit in that element of the game. We just, on our screens, just flashed up the 2 changing rooms at half-time. Sean Edwards very animated in the France dressing room. He will want the score keeping to 0, making his point with Tony Adams style dancing there, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was fascinating to watch. Of course, Sean Edwards, the France defence coach, with a few little moves for the French players as he was talking through the defensive effort. As we get back underway then, second half of France against Italy at the Rugby World Cup, the final match of Pool A. France have already wrapped up a bonus point, widely expected then to top this pool. Can't see a big coming back now from the Italians as the Italians run it back from the French kick down towards the halfway line. Italy travelling from right to left in this second half as they just once again approach the whitewash halfway, and another penalty. This is the story of Italy's night. They're taken into contact straight away. Referee Carl Dixon of England said holding on the floor, too many French players over the top, causing a nuisance. France penalty.
And it's absolutely standard exit, Sean Edwards template. They take the kick off, the ball gets passed back, they kick it long, they get their line as high as they can. Italy charge the ball back into the line. Piazza Mavacca not interested as Jalibert misses touch, kicks it off the end of the pitch, the same place that Garbisi did before, but Piazza Mavacca's not interested in making a tackle. He knows the guy in front of him is going to make a tackle. He's going to go over the ball and jackal for it and look to win the penalty. This time Jalibert makes a mistake.
Well, Jalibert missing that probably makes Paolo Garbisi feel a little bit better for making the same mistake for the Italians in the first half of the game. Jalibert still just 24 years old. Of course, he stepped into that 10 jersey for France after, in the build-up to this tournament, Romain Ntamack picked up a serious injury and has ruled him out for the whole thing. And for a long time, Mathieu Jalibert was the player. He was going to be the one. Everyone was talking about him at the under-20s level, at the World Championships. But it was the relationship between Dupont and Ntamack that ultimately prevailed.
And the fact that Ntamack plays slightly different to Jalibert, plays off the back of what Dupont does for Toulouse and for France. They complement each other very well. Knows when to time his entries into the game off his clubmate Romain Ntamack. But you need more than one if you're going to win a World Cup, particularly as they picked up the injury prior to the tournament. Now Dupont a doubt. Luca and Jalibert doing very well to run this France machine.
You're not missing any rugby. Carl Dixon is just having a very technical scrum chat with both front rows after a free kick was given to France. They've decided to pack back down, so more instruction has gone on there for the Italian front row, Ferrari, Fiver and Ceccarelli before they pack down. I can see there's a few changes that the Italians are waiting to bring on quite early, but they're unable to get on the field at the moment.
Carl Dixon free kicked the Italian scrum, so it's French have opted for a scrum off that, and Dixon's now given a penalty for the Italians collapsing on the loose head side. Ferrari, who rather unfortunately gave away the penalty to chalk off the Italian try towards the end of the first half, penalised.
And it's an interesting decision because Ferrari, as we said in the build-up to this, he's not traditionally a loose head. You tend to see him on the other side of the scrum, so it's a big thing they've asked him to do this evening. It's only his second start for Italy on the loose.
Particularly against Winnie Antonio, who is an absolute giant on the tight head for France. That is a big ask. Much more conservative kick this time from Jalibert, and he makes about 20 metres forward, but at least he gets it into the stand.
OK, well, the Italians are trying to make changes, but it is incredibly laboured and hard work here. Michele Lemero is slowly walking off the field, and a big one to pull your captain off at that occasion, so I can only assume that he's taken a bit of a knock. Manuel Zuliani is coming on, and they're also changing at scrum half as well, as Alessandro Fusco is on for Varney.
Milaro not happy, cold, hard stare at the bench and towards the coach's box. He is not pleased to be taken off, the Italian captain.
No, not at all. And I have to say, of the effort going in from the Italian players as well, the one who's actually really working his socks off at the moment in that back row is actually Sebastian Negri, putting in his tackles, 10 to his name so far, made a good few metres as France come away with yet another penalty. I mean, Italy just want this night to end.
Yeah, and the replacement comes on. Giuliani replaces his captain, immediately gives a penalty away for being overhyped. His clear out went on way past the ruck, turned into a tackle off the ball almost. So he concedes the penalty for over-enthusiasm.
And there's changes here for France as well. So Roman Tafafanur, he's going to come on to the second row. We've also got a change in the front row as well, as Dorian Aldeguerri is going to come in at tight head. And a time for them to slot in straight away, as it's a line out for France, 10 metres away from the Italian line. No score yet in this second half, 4 minutes in. France 31, Italy 0. As they just peel off the back of that line out, work their way towards midfield. Another penalty. Now I'm amazed that our referee Carl Dixon did play a little bit more advantage there, because France still had the ball, but he was a little bit whistle happy there.
Very early on the whistle, back peel from France. Aldrit peeled round the back, hit Fiku up off his shoulder. Nice chop tackle from Italy. It looked like they were in over the ball. Contesting quite early. Referee didn't like it though, gives the penalty. France up for the scrum.
They smell blood.
7 metres out, 20 metres in from the right-hand touchline. Options are plenty. We saw New Zealand dispatch Uruguay from 3 set-piece scrums last night, running different variations. Be interesting to see what France come up with here. I'm pretty sure there'll be an 8-man shove first to see if they can crumple the Italian scrum once more.
Well, the Italians haven't made any changes in their front row yet, and the reason France have gone for the scrum is they know the problems that Italy are having in the front row, and so they're trying to really exploit it here. Italy have got to do everything to keep this up, and that ball is stuck in there for the time being. France are just starting to crowd round to side. Eventually it does come out at the base through Aldrit, so Italy have survived that chance, and because it got stuck in there, it's slow ball then for France. This time we get to see a run forward by Jalange, the Toulouse flanker. Luca goes in and gathers a bit of a running attack. Oh, a bit of a spin came in there, really uncomfortable to watch there from Charles Olivant. I think he's okay. He sort of came in and almost flipped over his own player and landed on his head, but he's okay, he's back on his feet, he's running round to the next ruck. The crowd didn't like seeing that. Jalange goes once again towards the post. Few phases being worked through now by the French players. It's all about the forwards. The backs are just sort of hanging out there at the moment, waiting to see if any scraps are going to come their way. Woki, tall, lanky second row, the big jumper in that French side. Eventually the ball is spun out. Danty is offered up as a battering ram. Ficou then with the soft hands back round to Aldrit, and I have to say this is a pretty good Italian defence so far. France being held 5 metres out as they're now working towards their 11th phase. France 31, Italy 0 here on 5 Live. Here we go, a little bit of a show and go comes in by the end. Oh, that was so nice there by Jalibert. He thought, I could throw this or I could just run in a straight line, have a little dummy and go over myself. Try for Jalibert, first try of the second half. France 36, Italy 0.
Italy firmly on the wrong side of the referee at the moment. Carl Dixon whistling everything for France, and they're taking advantage of it. They took the scrum, they played away a little bit like in the first half. Big runner after big runner. I think it was Dorian Aldeghiri who got flipped over with a belting knee-high tackle from one of the Italian defenders, but ultimately they have to gamble when the ball goes out. Nice little out the back pass to Jalibert, who got runners off him. Pierre Barry showed to the outside, flat out blitz from the Italians. The number 10 just held onto the ball, let everybody get out of his way, and then the acceleration off the mark to get round the corner and over the try line. Great stuff from the 10.
Well, it's back to Ramos then for this conversion then. We're on 47 minutes then in this second half. Ramos did miss one just at the end of the first half as he tried to line one up from the halfway line. This one a bit more straightforward for him, and that one does go straight through the uprights. So he's now 5 from 6 this evening as he takes France up to 38 points to 0 as we quickly head into the Women's Super League. It's Man United against Arsenal. Sunny Ranibaba Jr.
With 9 minutes to go and Manchester United have just taken the lead. It's debutant on loan from Lyon, the Frenchwoman Melvine Mellard, played for on goal, managing to stab it beyond the goalkeeper. 9 minutes to go. It's Manchester United 2, Arsenal 1.
Well, the other match going on this evening in the Championship, we're just waiting for that one to get back underway in the second half. It's Manchester City 2, West Brom 1 last time we checked in there. And there was a Birmingham City penalty in the first half, followed up by Sanderson on 38 minutes to give them the lead after it was an early goal by Swift after 5 minutes for West Brom. Right then, we're focusing on all things Rugby World Cup here for 5 Live this evening. It's a big French party here in Lyon is pretty much the only way that we can describe it. Things are going from bad from worse for the Italians as eventually they have the hands on the ball. Oh my goodness, right, Montejuani had it, he threw it backwards. He threw it onto his own player's back. Luckily the ball kept moving backwards, so we're playing on, but they've lost 15 metres as Italy are now trying to run their way out of their own half. A night to forget. They've already had one of those already at this World Cup. Can they try and save some face here as they work it down the far side of the field and they knock it on out on the far side? And I think they're just deciding whether they're going to go for the knock-on or they can go for the ball going out of play on the far side. They're going to bring it back in the end, but this is almost a comedy of errors.
Yeah, and in that instance they actually moved the ball really nicely. Italy set their play up to give them numbers on the right hand side. It's just that it's the finishing touches that need tidying up. The game is gone. All that emotion that they brought into the game misplaced because they've been overwhelmed by France in the first half. Kind of need to relax now, enjoy the rest of their World Cup because the clock is ticking.
Well, certainly, and from a bit of a messy line out, France still have the ball because that's the way this night is going. Ficou with the footwork straight through the middle as he wears his flashy white boots, spinning in the air. Finally, we have an Italian penalty, and they need to be careful here because they were just having a little bit of afters on the ball as Charles Olivant was just trying to slow things down. They've taken it really quickly, Paolo Garbisi, but more importantly, he's actually found touch, which is what we were most concerned about. They've got a line out 5 metres from the French line.
There was a good jackal in midfield. Lorenzo Canoni, the Italian number 8, got in over the ball. This time he wasn't shifted. Carl Dixon went to his whistle. Negri piled in into Charles Olivant. There was a little bit of afters, still fighting the Italian back rowers.
OK, big moment then for the Italians. Can they actually make something of this? They've gone for 6 men in this line out high into the air. Comes down nicely in the end. The man in the air was Rutzer. He's just trying to encourage a few more players to come with him as he drags them forward. French players all over this, and they're pushing it forward. Garbisi finds Brex. Canone was hanging out there in the middle of that. The big number 8 gathered in the end by the Italians after it was just an exposed ball out there. The French didn't read it well, and now 5 metres left for the Italians to go. It's picked up at the back this time by Ficou. Oh, the Italians were napping. He's got support in his shoulder through Ramos out to Pierre Barry. He's going to hack on the ball, and it's a foot chase now. Back go the Italians to gather it. It's Tommaso Allen who's had to go all the way back inside of his own 22. Just as you think the Italians are going to get something, they get nothing. They're back in their 22, and it's a French penalty.
Twice Italy on the attack as Luku goes quick crossfield to Voki. He doesn't score, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Twice Italy had good front foot ball. 2 players cleared the ruck and they just left the ball there. No scrum half. Varney gone wandering or stuck at the bottom of a breakdown. And the second time, Ficou just walked round the back and picked it up, and off they went.
Is it about time now? I mean, we've said the Italians have been pretty terrible, but is it just time to say, you know, it's one of those days. Nothing good can come of this. It's terrible to say, but just nothing is happening for them.
No, and it isn't for lack of effort. Since the kind of shell-shocked period where they were put to the sword by France, they have been putting their bodies on the line. Those technical elements there. Fusco on it at scrum half, not where he needed to be. The ball vulnerable. France operating on a different level.
OK, well, France have dropped that one in the corner. They've got a 5 metre line out, just to say, in the second half of that Super League semi-final. It's now Catalan Dragons 2, St Helens 6. Commentary of that one on Sports Extra right now, as France managed to get the ball in and they're mauling this way towards the Italian line. They lead 38-0. They peel around the side. They go over. Try number 5. It is eventually given by our referee, Carl Dixon, and that was coming for some time. France 43, Italy 0.
Yeah, the breakaway by France, and then the long kick. Tommaso Allen did superbly well for Italy to get all the way back to win the race, got the ball, and then as he tried to recover his ground, 4 Frenchmen turned up to overwhelm him, drive past the ball, win the penalty. They go to the touchline, set up their maul, and once Italy engage all their forwards to try and stop it, Pietro Movaca, the French hooker, breaks off the back. Feet and speed of a centre, the hooker. He is brilliant anywhere within 6 or 7 metres from those mauls. He is absolutely lethal.
And Pietro Movaca will be looking for a big performance tonight. Julien Marchand, the regular hooker for France, he's really been part of the squad that's had this huge resurgence for the French as they've worked their way to second in the world. He's been out after getting to go off in that first match with a hamstring injury. He is expected to come back at some point, as we just see changes here for France. I can see Luku is going off. I think also coming off the field is Olivant and Baye as well. So changes here for the French as we just wait for Ramos to line this one up. Eventually he does. And the flags fly once again. It is France 45, Italy now.
And Movaca, fresh from scoring a try, makes his exit to be replaced by Pierre Bougarit. A good shift from the number 2.
Okay, as Italy get ready for the restart, let's head into the Championship. Birmingham City against West Brom. Naz Premji.
55 on the watch here, Sarah. Birmingham 2, West Brom 1. No real chances in the second period so far. Koji Mayoshi with a shot which was well wide. Birmingham 2, West Brom 1.
They'll be closing in shortly at the end of that WSL match. You bring you that result when it comes in. That one was a 7:30 kickoff between Manchester United and Arsenal. Here we're focusing on the World Cup though on 5 Live. France 45, Italy 0, 55 minutes on the clock. Paul Grayson, 2003 Rugby World Cup winner, here with us. Of course, the big focus tomorrow on 5 Live will be that big Pool B match as Italy just knock on the ball out on the far side. It's that big Pool B clash between Ireland and Scotland. That one will come to you live from the Stade de France. Before that, of course, we'll also have England against Samoa. England already through to the quarter-finals. So just looking to make sure if they can top that pool to get a more favourable quarter-final. And that has been one of the big talking points of this World Cup, of course, hasn't it, Paul Grayson? The fact that pools C and D just haven't been as strong as A and B, because A and B have the top 5 teams in the world in them.
Yeah, which every time we say it seems absolutely ridiculous. The draw made 3 years before the World Cup. All the international standings change over that period. And suddenly, with the emergence of Scotland as a top 5 team, etc., etc., you end up with a lopsided draw, which is, hey, great for England, but not so hot for the tournament.
Well, of course, there'll be plenty of that tomorrow morning on the Rugby Union Daily podcast as France just lose the ball out on the far side of the field. It goes out of play, so we'll restart with an Italian scrum out there. And I did mention the Super League a little bit earlier. Of course, it is semi-final weekend, so we're focusing on all things Catalan Dragons and St Helens over on Sports Extra at the moment. But we're saying that the second semi-final is Wigan against Hull KR. That one's tomorrow, 12:45 kick-off. That one, head to the BBC Sport website and app. More changes then for the Italians. They pretty much used the whole bench now. As David Ceci comes onto the field, they take off Niccolò Canone in the process. And just try and really rotate the bench and just try and bring a little bit of life back onto it, really. Lyon has been a happy hunting ground here for the French. We were expecting to see the French President Emmanuel Macron here this evening, but apparently he is no longer attending. Not been told why, but maybe he's happy for everyone to stare on the big screens at Antoine Dupont, who certainly is in the crowd this evening. There are a few players out there this evening who actually play their rugby for Lyon, but they don't play in this stadium that we're in this evening. They play that one at the Stade de Gerland. Now that's only a 25,000 capacity. Where we are, this is nearly a 60,000 capacity stadium. And of course, the home of Lyon, who play in the top French league, as Italy. You're not missing any rugby. They're just going from east to west at the moment. They need to go north. Occasionally they go a bit south, but the penetration in the right direction is still somewhat lacking as they just try and spin the ball towards the far side of the field. You get to see a little bit of Lorenzo Pani of Zebre on the ball as it comes back once again. All the phases being put through by the Italians for very little reward. Once in comes Fusco, the Zebre scrum half, who's been on the field. He's seen enough of the side to side, so he sends one high into the air, and it's France who gather back inside of their own half. And here comes Penno. Has he got magic in his shoes once again? He's shrugging off Italian tackles. Oh, it's been stolen in a quite brilliant fashion there by Juan Ignacio Brex of Italy. Absolutely ripped it out of the hands there of Penno to deny him any more opportunities after he got a couple of tries in the first half. It's Montiuani who tries to hack the ball through, ends up smashing it into the shins of a French player. It comes back though on the Italian side. Rutzer, he pushes forward, the Benetton second row. And she had a sister who actually played for Italy in the form of Valentina. She's now retired. He carries on the rugby flame for his family. Spun out ball by Negri. Perhaps not the most enthusiastic scrum half pass I've seen by a flanker, but I think when you've lost yours on the floor, and I can actually say that I think it's Fusco who's receiving a little bit of treatment down on the ground, and this could be a concerning moment for Italy. They've pretty much emptied their bench. They have the ball on the far side. They're 10 metres now inside of the French half, but they're keeping a very close eye on the scrum half. But in the meantime, once again, I mean, how many penalties have we seen this for Italy? All credit to the French. Another holding penalty for Italy.
Nice high ball from Tommaso Allen. A superb catch from Montiuani, two-handed over his head. But then in the breakdown, France over the ball, holding on. Another penalty, frustrating. Oh, there you go, contact in the air first, says the referee.
Okay, so a little bit of an opportunity here for the Italians before they gave away the holding penalty. As the ball came down, you can't tackle the man in the air. We're just watching the replay of it now. They're both looking at the ball, so there's nothing malicious in this at all, but Ramos needs to be more careful because he's knocked Montijuani in the air as he's come down to the ground. So it means Italy get the penalty. They do drop it down into the corner, and once again, try not to get too excited because we've been here a few times this evening, Paul Grayson. Italy have a line out 10 metres away from the French line.
Yeah, they'll be desperate to get that 0 off the score sheet. Nobody likes to be completely denied. They've been over the line once, denied by the referee. Genuine opportunity here for them, though.
As the Mexican wave goes round the Lyon Stadium, here come the Italians. They've got a maul that's moved a couple of metres and eventually does get spat out the back. Garbisi, he goes forward. He's a real powerful force when he wants to be. And it's again French players who are holding on to it. And they're saying that was all won by the French there by Danty, who comes away with it and will clear them with a French penalty.
Yeah, Danty there. Garbisi took him on, physically ran straight into him, drove him backwards. Danty almost accepted the challenge, backed off, and then once Garbisi hit the floor, again clamped on over the ball. Immensely strong. As much as Jalibert does some housekeeping, a little piece of paper on the field which he screws up and throws off. Maybe somebody sending him a note.
Okay, so the French clear out towards the left-hand side of the field. It's going to land on the halfway line. They will get the line out. Worth saying a bit here on the discipline. 6 penalties the French have conceded to the Italian 12. It feels a lot more than 12 that the Italians have actually conceded, but that's about an okay-ish number. You don't really like giving away more than that in a game.
It's the consequence of the penalty, though, what happens after it. And invariably it's meant France on top, back in field position, leading to a try. As France finish off their interchanges from the bench. Ramos leaves the field, as does Gaël Fickou. Moefana, Melvin Jaminet come on to replace them. It's the consequence of those penalties, Sarah, that every time Italy on the front foot, France find a way of taking the ball away in a try-scoring opportunity. Suddenly they're back at the halfway line, so it hurts Italy every time they get done by the referee.
Well, it's been 20 years since France have topped a pool at the World Cup. 2003 was the last time, and I think anyone listening knows what happened in 2003. It's the guy stood next to me who managed to come away with the trophy in that one. As the ball goes long, it's going to be gathered. It's the mark that's called by the Italians, but we've got a goal in the Super League. Man United against Arsenal. Sani Radvajdulla.
And it's Manchester United 2, Arsenal 2. Arsenal equalising. An absolutely brilliant effort from Chloe Lacasse, holding off the defenders, striking from distance and beating England goalkeeper Mary Earps into the top corner of the right-hand post. There's a minute to go here, and it's Manchester United 2, Arsenal 2.
Thanks, Sani. Here then in the World Cup, France 45, Italy 0, 62 minutes on the clock. Ball comes away then on the halfway line, pushed forward then by the French towards the far side. Here comes Danty, he's got support there by Biel Barry. He's still 10 metres short. You do feel the French are building something here. These backs don't miss, and there's a huge collision midfield there by Romain Taufifenua. He is an enormous man, and he's just absolutely gone over the top of the Italian defender. Still French ball, 15 metres to travel. They've got 6 tries. This is going to be number 7. You can almost smell it. Here's Penaud. He does what he does when he goes on these mazy sevens-like runs. Just refuses to go into any form of contact. 10 metres out from the line. Still French ball. So many phases being put together. 7 now. 5 metres then from the Italian line. What fight have the Italians got here? Knowing what's coming, it's pushed out to the near side. Over it goes by Moefana. Italy just cannot get a break. France are having a brilliant time in Lyon. It is now France 50, Italy 0.
Started by the dancing feet of Damien Penaud on the right wing. As we look down now, he's receiving a little bit of a treatment from the physio. He's got the magic spray out, so suggests it's maybe not too serious. Once he'd done that, they went to the middle of the field. Romain Taufifenua, absolute giant, crashing onto the ball. Takes 3 or 4 men to stop him, and they come back towards the right-hand side. And it was wonderful hands again from Mathieu Jalibert, who's had a great night tonight. Again, a dummy of the ball, and then a really creative pass to get the ball over the top to the replacement centre, Yoram Moefana. He gets a walk in. Clinical though from France. As soon as they get a chance, 3 or 4 phases, thank you very much.
Well, France then still with the opportunity then to add a little bit more to this. In the end, we said it was Moefana who went over for his try. He was the man who got the opportunity in the centres when Danty was injured in the early stages of this World Cup. New kicker onto the field in the form of Melvin Jaminet. And he slotted that one. Not bad for first kick, only a few minutes on the field to take it from the right-hand touch.
Lovely striker of the ball, Melvin Jaminet. Distance never an issue. Superb off the tee.
Full time in the WSL, Man United against Arsenal. Sunny Rodrivagula.
It's finished Manchester United 2, Arsenal 2. As Arsenal took the lead through Stina Blackstenius after 14 minutes. Leah Galton equalised just before the half hour after a mistake by goalkeeper Sabrina D'Angelo. And then on a night when all eyes are on Lyon, it was a woman from Lyon on loan, Mallard, who looked like she'd got the winner, Melvie Mallard, with 9 minutes to go. But then, in the 93rd minute, Chloe Lacasse, the Canadian, with her first ever goal for Arsenal from distance, means the points are shared. It's Manchester United 2, Arsenal 2.
Thanks, Sandy. Well, the other match going on this evening in the Championship continues between Birmingham City and West Brom. That one was also an 8 o'clock kickoff. We'll keep you posted as that one closes in on full time as well. It's around the same time as here we've got in France. We're on 65 minutes, they're on 63 at the moment. That one's still 2-1 for the time being. And of course the Super League continues after Catalan Dragons. They were holding the lead for so long in that match. In the second half they're just starting to edge in front. It's now Catalan Dragons 2, St Helens 6. And worth saying, if you want to listen to the end of that one, just head over to Sports Extra. Right then, France 52, Italy 0. Here in Lyon, 65 minutes on the clock. France on the ball at the moment inside of their own half, 10 metres out then from the halfway. And France have pretty much emptied the bench now. They've used pretty much everyone available to them. They just want to make sure that everyone who needs to be is wrapped up in cotton woolers. Pierre Barry, he thought he could have got another breakaway there. He scored a try in the first half as we're now playing Italian advantage. New scrum half onto the field for France is Baptiste Couliot as the ball is knocked on. So they'll come back then for the Italian scrum. See, a young player like Louis Biel Barry, he's just 20 years old. He's really taking his opportunity well. And you think about the likes of England, and there was a lot of chat around Henry Arundel getting 5 tries in their match against Chile. How much time do these young men need, or is it just a matter if you're good enough, you're good enough?
Yeah, there's always a case to be made for that when you get your shot. Henry Arundel was promoted to the England team in the big game at the end of the Six Nations against Ireland and was welcomed to international rugby in no uncertain terms by the best team in the world. So it can go for you and against you. Pierre Barry wearing a similar red scrum hat to Gavin Villiers, the man he's replacing at the moment. Error-free so far in the game. He looks dangerous. He's scored a try. Been part of lots of good stuff going forward. It's fair to say he's not really been tested the other side of the ball.
Yeah, certainly, and worth saying that starting sort of 9-10 and then coming off the left wing there for Biel Barry with Jalibert and Luca. They all play at Bordeaux, and that obviously helps a little bit if you've got some more familiar faces around you feeding you.
Without doubt, it helps you settle into the squad, having friendly faces around and people who know how you play, and you know how they play. Reading your fly half as a winger, really important thing, whether you've got a long distance relationship for a crossfield kick or working close in and around him at the coal face on the gain line, trying to find those inside and outside pops. So good to play with partnerships that you know well.
Once again, the Marseillaise rings out around Lyon, and they are bouncing once again. The stadium is alive with French joy for their rugby team as Italy come away from that scrum with the ball towards the halfway line, 15 metres out from the far side touch, back towards the middle, running through the middle of the park at the moment. We can see that standing at first receiver now is Garbisi as it's just hacked over the top. Gathering the Embo, I thought it was Penno, it was actually Jaminet who was being absolutely smashed there by the Italians. He had to take one for the team there as they rushed up into his face. Warnings there by Italy to stay on side at the ruck. Comes back in the end. The weight and the bulk that is Tao Fefenua, who actually plays his rugby here in Lyon. He'd had a bit of a back injury in the build-up to this World Cup over the summer, but he's managed to overcome it to be available. And that was the concern about France coming into this World Cup, was their injury list was growing, but people do appear to be coming fit at just the right time. Quarter-final time, knockout time, because that's where the French are heading after this. 11 minutes to go until the full-time whistle here in France, and they lead by 52 points to 0. Out on the far side wing for the Italians, it's Lorenzo Paglia-Zebre, 21 years old now. Only made his debut in the World Cup warm-ups against Scotland in the summer, getting a big opportunity and could be part of what's going to have to be a big rebuild here for the Italians off the back of this World Cup. They're playing on the halfway line now and still coasting slightly in the middle of the field, not really putting too much in. A little bit more penetration finally comes in by Negri of Benetton. Warnings coming in. France just making sure they stay on side. A little bit of encroachment there and a warning there to the referee. One French player just lands at the feet there of Carl Dixon. Looks up and says, apologies, sir. As we get out towards this near side for Italy, it's a well-ridden tackle on this near side. They're still working their way forward. Italy with the ball. This time running forward is Morisi. Can they finally get something out of the game? Still Morisi on the ball. He places it backwards. Gathered by Fusco. Huge tackle going in that time on David Ceci. He was knocked back a couple of metres. They can't get the last pass away into the corner where they had the overlap. France are reading this attack pretty well. They break away once again. Sheer brute determination comes in eventually. And it's going to be Manuel Zuliani who has just had enough. He says, I have seen this, I have watched it, I've seen us muck it up. I tell you what, I'll score a try. France 52, Italy 5.
Got to take your hats off to the Italians. They really are throwing everything they've got. Juan Ignacio Brecht's right in the middle of it, constantly creating the extra pass. Montijoani did well down the left-hand side to put Morisi away, and then they kept the ball alive. There was a massive tackle in the middle. I think it was Anthony Gillon drove them backwards, but they recycled the ball. And the replacement back rower, Zuliani, fought off two would-be French defenders to get over the line and get that donut off the scoreboard.
Yeah, and understandably, Sebastian Negri goes up to Zuliani afterwards and gives him a huge hug. Now, we should be watching the conversion here coming in for Italy, but everyone is actually watching a paper aeroplane that is coming in to land on the Italian side of the field. There you go, it's landed. You could have guessed that one yourself. As here we go with Tommaso Allen using his right boot to send that one through. He remains 100% with his kicking at this World Cup, so a bright spot there. Zuliani, still a young man at 23 years old, made his debut against France last year. He goes over his try and Tommaso Allen adds the extras. Good
strength, because he still had some work to do. Probably picked it up 6 metres out from the try line, spun out of a tackle, attempted tackle by Aldeguiri, the French tight head, and then drove through Pierre Barry and got over. He'll be chuffed with that. Any try at international level and in a World Cup, something to remember.
72 minutes on the clock. France 52, Italy 7. So at least they've got something on the scoreboard. Meanwhile, over in that Super League semi-final, Catalan Dragons 4, St Helens 6. Really low scoring match, that one, as it goes into 70 minutes as well. It's going to be a really tight finish. That one being played elsewhere in France this evening, as Italy have the ball back inside of their own 22. We've talked a lot about the rugby that's going on tomorrow at the World Cup, but don't worry, there's going to be more on Sunday as well, as France just lose the ball inside of their own half. It's Japan against Argentina. That one's in Pool D. You're going to get commentary of that one with Alistair Eakin and Dick Best. Head to the BBC Sport website for that one, because it's going to decide who else is going to go into the quarterfinals with England from Pool D, as I just watched the French break away with the ball towards the Italian 22. Then there's a Pool B match that doesn't have a huge amount on it between Tonga and Romania. That one gets underway at 4:45 as we line up a French penalty. A little bit of afters here, so they're going to need to separate the two sides, but there's also a player down on the floor injured, so expect a slight pause in play here And then the final match of this whole pool stage of the World Cup is in Pool C. Fiji against Portugal. That one in Toulouse. Conor McNamara and Tolson Tullett will bring you that one. That one, of course, we'll see whether Fiji can finally end Australia's World Cup at the pool stage. It's highly expected to happen, but it would mean that Fiji come away with that match with absolutely nothing for Australia to survive into the quarterfinals. And there is a brilliant Rugby Union Daily podcast all about what has happened in Australian rugby, where Matt Dawson meets Michael Liner. I do urge you to go and listen to that one. It will be on your BBC Sounds feed from earlier this week. And we've been talking, whilst we've been here in Lyon, haven't we, Paul Grayson, about how important it is for Rugby Union to have a strong Australia, because they've got the Lions in 2025, they've got the Men's World Cup, the next one in 27, they've got the Women's World Cup in 29. A huge amount of rugby coming their way.
And don't forget that the double World Cup winners, Australia, they've got a sensational rugby heritage. I mean, this competition alone, going all the way back to 1991 when they won the final against England at Twickenham, but knocked the favourites All Blacks out in the semi-final. David Campese, 2 moments of brilliance. For those of us old enough to remember all that stuff way back when, absolutely vital that a vibrant Rugby Union international team survives in Australia, not just for them, but also for us, for what they bring to the world and what they've got coming to their shores.
Yeah, most certainly. So, do go and listen to that one, Rugby Union Daily. So much on that as well as all the top tens that they've been doing as well. Right, then, you've not missed any rugby because there's a big pause in play. There's still an Italian player receiving treatment down on the field at the moment. I think it might be Zuliani, the try scorer. As we see Antoine Dupont appear on the big screen, he gets a huge cheer.
Just a marginally louder cheer than the paper aeroplane.
Just. Right then, France 52, Italy 7, 73 minutes on the clock here on 5 Live. It's going to be a French line out far side of the field, 5 metres out from the Italian line. Is it going to be try number 8? Right, ball goes in. Cameron Woki, who has made a career of flying into the air like a salmon to gather balls, does exactly what he's trained to do. Still France down on the ground. They've set up the ruck, spun it out wide. This time gone forward through Francois Cross, who's on the field, the Toulouse flanker. Keeping it tight. This is still very well executed by the French. It's just really clean, crisp rucking. Round the corner they go, slightly isolated on that occasion, not as good as the last couple of phases, but they hold on to the ball as the white wall from Italy just holds for the time being. Baptiste Couliot, he manages to spin out the ball. They've gone back about 5 metres, but they're just trying to punch holes at the moment. Aldrit goes once again. Couliot looks up. He's got support on either side. Vardy is there. He's waiting to receive. A couple of players either side to guide him forwards. And it's just a matter of time before maybe they decide, shall they give it to the backs? They need to suck in a few more players. That's nearly there. Penalty advantage to the French as well. More bodies flying in. This is a free hit for them. Woki tries to go. He's not the biggest man on the field, but he's incredibly agile. And how long will Carl Dixon allow this to play? The penalty is France's. Spun round the corner once again. 10 phases they've worked through so far. More work to do. Vardy goes in, just slowly pushes it backwards. No scrum half in there, so Vardy will have to take on duties. Oh, really nice move there round the back from the French. This is glorious. Over the line. It's going to be Mafana for a second. You knew it was coming. You can see it, and there is nothing Italy can do about it. It is now France 57, Italy 7.
The construction of the try, the detail, the recycling of players, picking their moments. I thought Couillard wasted an opportunity when the ball was presented at the back of the ruck. France could have gone early, maybe 3 or 4 phases before, but they didn't. They pulled their big forwards out in blocks of 3. They set them up to hit yet another ruck with 1 or 2 latches to try and create the quick ball, and the last one of those was a dummy. The ball was returned to Couillard, that came out the back to Jalibert. Thought he was going to score again, but gave it to Moefana, who had 2 players still to his outside. Tuck and run, 1 yard to go, touchdown.
Well, that was a really enjoyable try to watch for the French. Some people like it when it's a bit fancy, and sometimes when you see something put together so well. It's like watching an architect put together a building, and then you just look at the final structure and just like, wow, that was nice. And there was just a picture that came up on the big screens of Tommaso Allen the fly half for Italy this evening, just sort of looking bruised, battered, sat on the floor as if to say, what more can we do? This French machine is just purring this evening as the ball goes into the air. Not going to be got that one by Jaminet. So it remains France 57, Italy 7. Now, just a quick result to update you on. It's not a result yet. It's still the latest score at the moment. Catalan Dragons 6, St Helens 6. That one on 75 minutes. And don't forget that one over on Sports Extra right now. We're approaching on 77 minutes here in Lyon. France 57, Italy 7. Right, ball comes back once again then for France. Are they going to finish on a real flourish here? Do they want more? They've got 8 tries. It's 9 greedy. Can they let Italy have one more? Run round the corner this time by Ioani. Full name Montana, as he's still going. Well known for his 7s back in the day. Now focuses on his 15s as the ball is just hacked through there. Not cleanly taken though. Oh, this is an absolute spillage by Italy. Somehow the French have got it back. That should have been an Italian ball, and we're going to see Penaud now hack it down the field from inside his own try area. He gets it out of play on this near side. But somehow France managed to get that ball back. Who knows how?
Yeah, Francois Cross took the ball into contact. I think it was Ignacio Brex again with the steal, ripped the ball clear. Italy moved it back towards the middle of the field, and then Ioani hit the gas. He is very, very quick, given some space, burst through the middle. Good hands by Italy, and then you thought they had the potential of a 2-on-1 on the outside, but they put it on the toe. France managed to recover.
Well, we've got 2 minutes to play here at the moment in Lyon. It's France 57, Italy 7, and as the clock just counts down here, we are going to try and join that Super League semi-final. That one's on around 76 minutes, but it's really poised at the moment at 6-all between Catalan Dragons and St Helens. So at the final whistle here, we will quickly switch codes so we can hear the end of that one, which has been tight the whole way through, as France have the ball 5 metres out from their own line. So it's sent down the field. All of the Italian players are having to track back at the moment, and it's a 50-22 there by France. I mean, that just totally sums up the whole narrative of this match. They've taken the ball quickly as well. Carl Dixon, our referee, says no, because it's gone forward. So France, they're just getting greedy now.
Do you get a special prize for a 22-22? Because he was definitely inside his own 22 metres. Absolutely brilliant. Punt on the run, gets the end over end, spin, and then the bounce, and it kicks on and goes a metre inside the Italian 22 for the line. A quick throw. Actually, Pierre Barry took it quickly and threw it inside. It was caught by Melvin Jaminet, who got absolutely levelled.
Well, I can tell you, the nightclub here in Lyon, it's a pretty good value for your ticket. They are absolutely bouncing. I'm looking over to my right. We've got fans who've taken their shirts off, swinging them around in the air. They've got flags going as well. There's a few people with wigs on. And yeah, it's going to be one big party. I think even the Italians are trying to join in a little bit as well, and why not? Last minute of this match, we'll head over to that Super League semi-final, which is poised in the last few moments when we have the final whistle here. Advantage now to France. They've had 8 tries, they want more. Biel Barry, he manages to come in from the inside line, working off his wing. Advantage now to France. They've got the penalty, looking for another try. Number 9 if they can get it. They lead 57 points to 7 here in France. The final match of Pool A, it will be France who top the pool. The first time they've topped a pool at a World Cup in 20 years. They've done it in style here tonight. Who will they meet from Pool B won't be decided until later this weekend, and it's going to be decided, of course, in that match between Ireland and Scotland. That one is an 8 o'clock kickoff tomorrow on 5 Live. Right, we're coming back for the penalty for France. They're making their way really slowly there, and I think we're going to finish on a kick here for France. They've decided to go for goal, and I tell you what, I really like that decision because it means no one's going to get injured.
No, and we'll be over to the Rugby League even quicker, because the Dane will definitely finish after this kick.
Yeah, certainly.
As long as he doesn't hit the post. Yeah,
that's true, and they're closing in, so we're just waiting now for the French to line this one up. Melvin Jaminet, as soon as this is kicked, we'll get over to that Super League match for you. It's still poised at 6 points apiece between Catalan Dragons and St Helens. That one heading into the final minute as well. So we're going to just try and go straight there as soon as this match is concluded. So we're watching Jaminet just line up this quick. France 57, Italy 7. It's 3 extra points for France if they get it. Jaminet looks at the post, he looks back down at the ball, he's sucking up all of the shot clock. Everyone's waiting to run onto it just in case something else happens. But there it goes through the post. Right, full time here then in Lyon. It is France 60, Italy 7. That's France safely through as top of pool A into the quarterfinals. But let's head over to that Super League semi-final. It's poised at 6-all. Dave Woods.
We said that the frailty would be in the middle, whether that be Catalan or St Helens, but I never expected it to come in these circumstances. Obviously, a man down St Helens worked tremendously hard in the way of Lomax and Walmsley to put pressure on Sam Tompkins. He's always going to step, and then he's been able to evade the Walmsley, evade another challenger, and just getting under the post there and in around them middles. This is the game. They've won the game there. There's clock still ticking down. There's 15 seconds left. By the time the kick's gone, this is game over. Sam Tompkins has won the game for Catalan.
Wow, could have been his last ever game. What a career Sam Tompkins has had. He wants to go out with a grand final, and it was his moment of magic which has made sure it will be a grand final, because the clock has now ticked down. The hooter sounds in amongst the bedlam, the mayhem, the noise at the back. But in this part of the south of France, this huge stadium packed with delirious rugby league supporters who cannot believe what they've seen. Kieran kicks the goal to put the top hat on things. Catalan 12, St Helens 6. Only tells you part of what has been an amazing story on an amazing night. Catalan are through. For 5 live listeners, we're going to go back to Sarah Orchard in Lille after that amazing finish. Right here on Sports Extra and BBC Radio Merseyside, we stay with you for a moment. Paul Rowley, what about that? What about that for a finish?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Wello nailed it, didn't it? It was very much the war of attrition. I think St Helens were unbelievable in the ferocity of defence, and then all of a sudden Catalan managed to weather that storm for 15, 20, 25 minutes of the second half, where Sage stepped up 2-3 gears. They weathered the storm and they just kept creeping back in, first and foremost for them goal kicks that they got there in the end.
What a night. St Helens 4 consecutive grand finals, World Club Challenge winners at the start of the year in incredible circumstances. But now that's over. Their big run is over. James Roby's career's finished. Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook's career's finished. What a way for them to finish.
Yeah, I mean, they're legends of the game, aren't they? And they're going out and they'll be disappointed with that. But, when they look back and when the dust has settled, they're a champion team, the champion players. And they've gone out, with in an almighty battle under the toughest of circumstances on a short turnaround, going over to Catalan against a team that's been in form all year. So there's no disgrace there. I think they've played a tremendous game, St Helens, and look for most parts of that game like the better side, or the tougher side, should I say. But I thought all along they've just got a little bit more in them in terms of attacking prowess, Catalan, and it just proved the case at the end there with the experienced player Sam Tompkins, the legend that he is, just finishing off in front of his own fans. What a party they're going to have tonight.
Well, it's been a sensational atmosphere throughout the night in the Stade Gilbert Brutus. They have been in a grand final before under Steve McNamara, but they're heading to Old Trafford next week. They will play either Wigan or Hawkinston Rovers, who meet each other tomorrow. You can hear that on BBC Online, 12:40 we're on air for that one. That is going to be sensational if it matches this. Wow. But they're flooding onto the pitch, supporters flooding onto the pitch here. They cannot believe how it's finished. Steve McNamara, what a job he's done there at Catalan. Turned around the culture over the last few years. He's won a Challenge Cup with them. And now you give him every chance of winning a grand final as well.
I think Steve McNamara has been absolutely unbelievable for a long period of time at Catalan Dragons, and like you say, I think what he's done for that club, and and particularly by bringing, I said before the show, Sam Tompkins and McAlorum, I think they changed the whole culture of Catalan.
Well, we're going to get interviews coming down the line in just a second. We don't want to take those. But just to sum things up here, Paul Rowley, wonderful season. Catalan Dragons having finished second, St Helens having finished third in the league. Ultimately, that proved decisive. But it was such a tight regular season. It's been a year of small margins, and it's still a year of small margins even at this stage.
Yeah, it just continues to go on and on, doesn't it? When you think you can settle down and you know who's made the six, somebody else goes forward, and then just as you think who's made the final, then somebody else comes and surprises you. This semi-final went right to the wire. I'm sure tomorrow's will as well. We've been treated this year, haven't we, in all aspects of Super League, but we'll probably save the best till last. Today was an absolute mammoth battle by these two sides who've been fantastic all year.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to wrap up this game on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Radio Merseyside. But for those of you listening to 5 Live, we will now take you back to Sarah Orchard in Lyon. Sarah, it's all yours.
Thanks ever so much, Dave Woods. Well, from one party in France to another one, we've been focusing on events here in Lyon, but yeah, if you're a French fan tonight, it's the place to be. So it finished there in the Rugby League. Catalan Dragons 12, St Helens 6. So Catalan Dragons through to that grand final. You can find out who they're going to play tomorrow, because the second semi-final is Wigan against Hull KR. Kicks off at 12:45. That one's on the BBC Sport website and app. We've been looking at France, the whole nation, the whole country, who is absolutely lit up this stadium in Lyon tonight. They have absolutely thumped the Italians 60 points to 7 here. 8 tries in the end, and it means that they top Group A and they sail into the quarterfinals of their own World Cup. I mean, alongside me here, 2003 World Cup winner Paul Grayson. No one's leaving at all.
Well, you just said France lit up the stadium. Now it's the fans' turn. No one's gone. Everyone's got their phones out, lights on. The playlist to this World Cup has been going on and building for a couple of years in France. I've been lucky enough to watch them all around the country, and they're iconic French songs that they play, and the supporters get involved. It's very much a two-way street. The players love the fans love the players, and with good reason.
And just on that, Paul, you have seen French rugby go through some real tough times. They have been, times where they have just turned out. You look back at that sort of 80s, 90s periods where they played some fantastic, flowing, wonderful rugby. And they've been in the doldrums for a long time, but now they are rising once again, and their public love them for it. It's great rugby.
Since I've been involved in rugby, the talk has always been of the stereotypical which France team will turn up, whether they can be bothered to travel home or to away games and perform. All of that has gone out the window. We also said if France ever get organised, everyone's in trouble. Well, they are organised from the top of their game down through from the international team to top 14 to Pro D2. They are organised, united. They've got a great system, produce all the fantastic young players who've come through their 18s and 20s that we're seeing out here now. None of this is by accident, but goodness me, they have got momentum and a country on their side. And still we hear potentially Dupont back into training maybe next week, and that would he make the quarter-final? We don't know. You wouldn't bet against them, no matter who they're playing, getting through to the semis to see their captain come back and reign supreme. But for now, just savouring this atmosphere. You ain't getting out of the car park anytime soon.
It is absolutely bonkers here, I can tell you that much. Right then, the French team are just making their way around here, the stadium in Lyon. Everyone's staying to wave at them and get their photos. So France, they top Pool A. That means they're the winner. They're going to play the runner-up in Pool B. That one will be next Sunday in Paris. An 8 o'clock kick-off, that one at the Stade de France. It means New Zealand are runners-up in Pool A, and they'll play the winner of Pool B next Saturday. Now, everyone is saying they're expecting that to be Ireland and South Africa, but Scotland have a big say in that tomorrow. It's an 8 o'clock kick-off at the Stade de France between Ireland and Scotland. We've bigged this one up a lot, Paul Grayson. I mean, Ireland, they're the world #1 side. They have already beaten South Africa in this tournament. What is it Scotland have got to bring to actually cause this upset?
Oh, Scotland have got to be as fearless and as free and as excellent technically as they possibly can, play with absolutely without fear, because that's when they're at their best. And hopefully that the build-up of pressure and expectation on Ireland maybe sees them at a 75% of their maximum, and Scotland somewhere near 100, which hopefully will deliver. The tournament, make no mistake, the tournament at this point needs that to be an absolute cracker. There's been a lack of jeopardy in the last few games. 1 or 2 walkovers. Yes, France were excellent tonight, but Italy never served up anything like we might have expected after last week. They were overwhelmed in the first half and the game was done by half-time. The tournament needs a close one. I'm not just throwing that Scotland's way, that's not added pressure for them, but generally a game that goes down to the wire. Like we just heard, Catalans winning it at the death. It needs something like that soon before the knockout rounds, because the pool stages at times, because it's been spread out, have been a little bit listless.
Well, this party is not ending any time soon, and it's a bit of a party this weekend really on 5 Live, because we've just started now. First couple of commentaries in of the 22 we are bringing you this weekend across 5 Live, Sports Extra, BBC Sounds, as well as the website. Do stay with us. We've got Premier League, we've got the Cricket World Cup, we've got the Rugby World Cup, we've got the Formula One, we've got a bit of boxing in there as well. It's going to be one big sporting party, and it's all started tonight here in France. They've scored 8 tries, the French, to finish on 60 points to Italy's 7. Just a final word on the French. Who really stepped up for you tonight? They could have easily capitulated in this match, but they came out, they executed, and they put the Italians away.
Yeah, and we know that France, with Cyril Bay, Winnie Antonio, the back row, Gelon, Olivon, Aldrit, we know they've got power up front, but you've got to manage the resources. I thought Lucu and Jalibert were excellent tonight. Mathieu Jalibert is a special talent. Given the right game circumstances, he can find some strings to pull that not many others can at this level of the game. So French 9 and 10 under massive pressure, as backups to Dupont and Ntamak have been brilliant.
Right then, it's finished all here in France, but before we wrap up here on Sport this evening, let's head to full time in the Championship. Birmingham City